Yeah. You tune in to Joy 99.7 FM. It's been almost an hour of back-to-back Amachidide hits, legendary status. Check with your time, it's 13 after 3. And it's Showbiz A to Z, proudly brought to you by MTN. Don't forget to choose your own bundle, your own way with MTN Flexi Bundle. Just dial star 138 hash and enjoy bundles that do not expire. And let me say a special good afternoon to you, Eugenia from MTN. Good to know you tuned in to Joy 99.7. So yes, I did make a promise earlier. Said if you were able to predict who was going to win VGMA Artist of the Year tonight, this year's edition of The Scheme, Philip Nye owes you 500 Ghana cedis cash. On Sundays, the footballers meet at the park. The Omutuo guys are their joints. Church folks share the grace and family and friends gather. Or sometimes they come to visit. But now with MTN Sunday Special, your Sundays just got a lot more special. You want to know how? Well, just get yourself 50 pesos and you can text all day every Sunday. It gets even better when you get one CD 9 pesos and it gives you the power to talk the whole day and get a cool 20 megabytes of data. Now, this is where it gets even more exciting. Make it 2 CDs and 17 pesos and you can call all other network all day plus 50 megabytes of data. Who is it you love talking to? Mom, dad, sis, bro? Or that special somebody. Just keep talking all day every Sunday with MTN Sunday Special. Send yes to MTN short code 5050 to sign up on MTN. That's why we're good together. We day for you everywhere you go. And you know, has it occurred to you that Go TV Top can make sweet brutal? Oh yeah, with the return of ESPN, Big Brother Niger, the revamped Rock GH, and the VGMS is going to show on Rock GH tonight, by the way. August just debut. Oh yeah. So you should connect from as low as 20 Ghana cedis on Go TV and watch loads of drama and movies on Africa Magic Hausa and Africa Magic Epic. Also follow the intriguing moments of Big Brother Niger on Africa Magic Family and the adventures of Kid Danger and SpongeBob on Nickelodeon. Upgrade and enjoy loads of games on ESPN, spicy drama on Rock GH, and a lot more telenovela series on Z-World, Telemundo, and Star Life. Stay connected via my Go TV app, pay by the point, or mobile money agent near you. With Go TV, you are assured of great family entertainment at an affordable price. Go TV, live it, love it. It's Showbiz A to Z, probably brought to you by MTN. Ghana's most reliable, clearest mobile telecommunications network. It's everywhere you go. You know we did for you, right? Let me tell you about the Graphic News Plus. Information is a great source of power. If you have information, you're flying high. And while Graphic celebrates its 70th anniversary in counting, we also believe our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, should be accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and weeklies. That is the Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, which is my favorite. Junior Graphic for people like Philip Nye, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app, and enjoy up to 30% discount on your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly or annual subscription as best suits your wallet. This offer is on till October 31st, 2020. You don't want to miss out. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store or App Store as you remain abreast of and keep pace with the changing times on the go. Please stay safe, stop the spread, and always be the bearer of credible news. From Graphic Communications Group Limited, Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Graphic News Plus, connecting people through news. And it's still COVID-19 season. We're encouraging you to stay safe, protect yourselves. Here's the safe use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers, because if you've got kids around, you might want to listen to this. To protect yourself and others against COVID-19, clean your hands frequently and thoroughly. After washing your hands with soap and running water, it might be pertinent that you use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Now, please note that you should keep alcohol-based hand sanitizers out of children's reach. And if they're going to use it, please teach them how to apply the sanitizer and monitor its use. Apply a coin-sized amount on your hands. There's no need to use a large amount of the product. Avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose immediately. After using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, as it could cause some level of irritation. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are flammable. Do not use before handling fire or cooking. And do not drink alcohol-based hand sanitizers, please. They can be poisonous. Very, 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 very poisonous. COVID-19 Tidbits is proudly brought to you by Petrosol Clean Fuel in full quantity. You might want to interact with us via Twitter, Showbiz A to Z, and we're going to be interrogating the MPP's vision for the creative arts, plus who wins what at GH Music's biggest night. Right about now, the prettiest woman in the house, Noella Karen Yale, has joined me in the studios, looking all fly as always.
Vibes.
How you doing?
Vibes. I'm good.
You were looking sparkly. You were looking too gorgeous last night at the VGMAs. The way my friend was eyeing you, pa.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I don't want communicating. You should have communicated.
Oh, but me, I hear you like allergies. He's not an allergy, so.
George, take that back.
I've taken it back. Oh, why? You don't like allergies?
No, I don't.
Oh, I know if you find allergies, so.
I mean, they're okay, but don't make it look like I'm looking for an allergy. I'm not.
Oh, but we are not far from Newtown. If you gentlemen, somebody might just pack.
Let's move on.
I don't find allergy. Allergy bushasha, allergy shebene, and oh, find allergies.
See, I don't mind you.
Allergy shine and go.
George, stop it.
Yeah.
So since you mentioned VGMA, let me start with it.
Right on.
A couple of people that won awards yesterday. It was beautiful. I mean, I like the whole setup. I mean, I was there. I went through all the, the protocols. It was quite good. You wash your hands, you sanitize your hands, you get checked by a medical professional. Your temperature. And then you walk into the auditorium, and it was a beautiful setup, I must say. And then for
kudos to the team at Charterhouse.
Traditional Artist of the Year, Tessa Cultural Group won. Instrumentalist of the Year went to Emmanuel Bludo. Sound Engineer of the Year went to Dan Grau. Male Vocalist of the Year, MOG Music, which was actually his first time winning an award, as well as Celestine Donko, who won the Female Vocalist of the Year. Songwriter of the Year went to Kofi Kinata. Record of the Year went to Ochame Kwame. And for this particular award, a lot of industry people were very happy that Ochame Kwame won. I spoke with a couple of them.
You know the song? Bogatanga Girl. Beautiful song.
A lot of people were very happy that he took that home. So those were some of the big wins of the night. And if you missed out on yesterday, there's another one today, a bigger one actually, so you can make your way to the International Conference Center and witness for yourself. So let's continue with the new patriotic party, NPP, because news is last Saturday they launched their 2020 manifesto, of course ahead of the December 7th post in Cape Coast, and it included the plans they have for the arts industry. Now the manifesto's bit on the arts was read I beg your pardon, by the director of the Ghana Folklore Board, Nana Joa Adubia Sante, and it sure revealed, the NPP's interest in the growth of the arts industry and stated its strategies to help put it up.
The creative arts industry was left to wallow in neglect when the serious business of governance found its way into the hands of Mr. Menyade into Montreal Medium. The only creativity they cared about was to fabricate a green book of goals, achievements, and propaganda. However, the Nana Dankwa-led government has been absolutely committed to the creative arts industry. What he says he will do, he does. His Excellency inaugurated the National Film Authority in December last year. This was a promise made and delivered. We walk the talk. Did we not promise to establish a creative arts course? We have delivered. Indeed, days of disregard for the rights of creative artists is coming to an end. Goodbye to stealing the scripts of script writers. Goodbye to stealing the beats of beat makers. Goodbye to refusing to pay musicians for their performances. Oh, goodbye to stealing the work of animators for adverts. The dynamism of the National Folklore Board has brought attention to an institution once left for dead. Munim said, as promised, government has also started the construction of theatres in every region. Koforidia, Yewie, Kumasi, Yeguso, Tamale, Nitakrade, round 2, Ebebaso.
So also in the manifesto, the NPP promised to have the Creative Arts Bill passed. And for your information, this was also promised in 2016, in their 2016 manifesto, I mean. But yeah, it was repeated in this year as well. And they promised to also build recording studios in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and Takrade, should they be given 4 more to do more.
And in there, the government is also working to have the Creative Arts Bill passed. This bill, when passed, will establish the Creative Arts Fund. As a visionary government, the Nana Akufo-Addo-led government has also commenced the construction of the very first Creative Arts Senior High School. If this is not a visionary, then what is? Did you know the year of return has brought about renewed interest in investments in Ghana? Tourism boomed, foreign investments grew. We cannot afford to let our rejuvenated industry fall into the hands of these Matra and Makwe people. We see great fortunes in Elnanado-led government. Great fortunes for the poet, the musician, the art writer, the script writer, the filmmaker, the dancer, the model, and the event organizers, and indeed all our creative artists. Underground artists, round 2 will be a very happy time for us. The MPP government will construct recording studios in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and Takrade. The MPP government will also further promote and commercialize the work of our artists. Government shall invest in the building of digital platforms to make the products available on a global market. We are presented with the opportunity to give His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo 4 more to do more.
So yeah, you heard Director of the Ghana Folklore Board, Nana Addo Asante, reading the NPP's manifesto's bit on the arts industry. But on Daybreak Hits on Hits FM, 3 music boss Sadiq Abdullahi and musician Trigmatic reacted to the NPP's manifesto, and of course they spoke to Andy Dusty. Listen.
For a party that rode on the goodwill of the creative community, for a party that gave massive expectation to the creative community, for once and in the history of Ghana, no party has had the massive support of the creative arts community on their way to power. The NPP did. For the first time, we had an organized body of creatives, the Creative Arts for Change, advocating and campaigning for the NPP to come to power. They did. Of all the promises you've not made to them, the people are dejected. The members of the Agenda 57 who are part of FIPAC today, 5PAC had to resort to prayers. And she dares talk about Mahama and what is done. Points of information that she needs to understand. Today, the National Film Authority that has been established, the law that established it was read by Mahama. If she doesn't know that, that was actually supposed to come with a film fund. In they executing it, the film fund hasn't come yet. The last time when we heard about the film fund, the likes of filmmaker Kwanza and others were calling for 100 million cedis film fund to help produce films here. That was how it was designed. When you came, you've not done anything, and you are coming in to throw shades at the person who established the law, the person who created the law for Gamro, the person who left you some funds with the Exim Bank for you to actually advance and give to the creative arts sector. Are these people serious?
It is news. As to whether it's good or bad, I think to an extent, yes, it is good news, because we've been able to identify through the conversations this morning that at least there's a system that's broken that needs to be fixed. That's where, for me, the good news is, or at least for a party coming into power, recognizing the need to assist the creative arts industry, for me, that is where my good news lies. But what I would say with regards to that is that I don't want to politicize it. I would come from an angle of a musician. I think that maybe it wasn't too thought through. Maybe there wasn't much consultation. However, I'm not one saying fine. But the thing is that we must try and fix the core problems, because when these platforms still come, the problems will still be lingering.
And that was Three Music Boss Sadiq Abdullah and musician Chigmatic reacting to the NPP's manifesto. Now let's move on to some other stories. And folks, I've good news for ya. George, I'm a fan. NKY.
Or should I make it NK?
No, it's okay. No.
Y is close to Z, so NK.
It's okay.
Okay.
So a new segment has been introduced on the PM Express show on the Joy News channel called the Manifesto Tracker. And its purpose is to simply break down the manifestos of parties to its simplest form. So, the electorates are well informed ahead of the polls, which is just about 4 months away. So if Party A, for instance, made a promise in 2016 in their manifesto and haven't fulfilled them, in 2020 you can trust the Manifesto Tracker, to blow its cover, so you are informed. The arts sector, thankfully, was in focus this week, and George, you co-hosted with Evan Spencer.
Yeah.
And I must say, I've totally enjoyed your conversation with your panelists.
Yeah.
So if you missed out on it, don't cry, over spilled milk, because 30 minutes of the show will be played, and of course Uncle Ken and his friends will.
The fans are calling for the whole show, but we're still discussing.
Yeah. We'll get to get into the discussion proper, but for now, I'll be giving you some teasers as you anticipate the main meal. So the panelists were Creative Art Council's president Marco Kwekumanti, veteran musician and Gamro chairman Rex Amar, and showbiz pundit Arnold Asamoah Baidu. So I'm going to start with Arnold's take on the NPP's manifesto. Now, for him, he believes, considering what was promised the arts in 2016, what has been completed and what not, the art industry has simply been disrespected by government.
If you set up a business or a venture and you give yourself a target, objectives and aims, and you're unable to achieve them, you can target as a failure. And so I do not know. I'm not the one targeting it. I'm just giving an analysis. I think when it comes to the construction of the theaters, one of the reasons why it's the loudest is because over the period, industry players have touted the fact that we need venues, we need large sitting capacity theaters and all. And so when you realize, every time we talk about the manifesto, provisions and commitments, that one actually makes the loudest noise. Yes. If you see the drafting or the construction of the English, it says we will pursue the construction of large sitting blah, 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 blah. Now, underline, we would pursue. It did not say we would construct and complete. And so, what do we see? The firm pursuance. However, the issue is that pursuance to actually build a new one. Or, for me, I feel it is quite disrespectful to the industry and to the players within the industry with regards to the narrative that has surrounded the construction of the theaters. In 2019, the president, during his SONA, actually said Koforidua Theatre has been completed. The vice president, last week, during the town hall meeting, repeated the same narrative that Koforidua Theatre has been completed. Kumasi is ongoing. Then just last week during the manifesto reading, Nana Adobia also stated the fact that Koforidua has been completed. Kumasi is ongoing. So the issue is, what has been completed? Is it the refurbishment of the Center for National Culture or the large sitting capacity theater? Depending on how you look at it, it may sound deceptive or an affront to the industry. And mind you, when the people who actually drafted the manifesto went into the room to put it on paper, they've heard the complaints. They knew exactly what we needed. So if you come out and tell me they've actually completed the theater, for me, I find it a little bit awkward.
And you heard Arnold Asamoah Baidu there, but his submission was shared by Rex Amar, who also believes the industry has, been taken for a ride, and he particularly singled out one project he says the NPP claims to be working on, which apparently isn't the case, and that's the Ijabrim project in Kumasi.
They have actually deceived us. They gave promises that they never intended to fulfill that, because when I give you a promise to give you A, and it gets to a point that I feel that no, I cannot come through with a promise. If I have any respect for you, I'll come and tell you, look, I said I was going to do this for you, but because of A, B, C, D, perhaps I can't do it, but I can do maybe refurbish A or B or C. Yes. That thing that they call a theater in Koforidua, in real sense, it's not a theater. Look at the National Theater that we have in Accra. Look at the auxiliaries, I mean the stage, the lighting, the PA system. It has a studio in there that you can even do a live sound. What kind of theater were they talking about when they promised that we're going to do large capacity theaters? This thing in Koforidua has been there for a very long time. So you've gone, you refurbish it, that's okay. If that is what you call a theater, to me it's a deception.
Don't you think it was actually in a good heart, saving the public purse and all that it chose to refurbish what already existed?
You come and say, I'll build a large capacity theater. Go and find a definition of what a theater is. They even goes ahead to tell you that Kumasi is ongoing. I mean, where in Kumasi is this theater ongoing? Are they referring to a Jabrim in Cultural Center? The day I heard this from the Vice President, immediately I called my people in Kumasi, please, go to a Jabrim and take pictures. I want to know what's happening. I can show you the pictures here. Nothing has happened there. It's a blatant lie.
It's Showbiz A to Z. And you had Gamro Chairman Rex Omar there. Now, Mark, reacting to the allegation, if you like, made by Rex, revealed that he actually directed for the Ijabrem project to be brought to a halt. But the Vice President, unfortunately, wasn't informed.
It's not true. That's true. Nothing has happened in Ijabrem. I was there late last year.
Yes. And viewers, just for clarity, Ijabrem, as Rex refers to, is a Kumasi Cultural Center.
Yes.
It's right there. Yeah.
Yes. Before and now, if you knew the place very well, there's a change. I was actually the one who stopped that project.
Why?
Okay, good. We stopped it for a reason, and I'm telling you.
So there is nothing ongoing?
We stopped it.
But we just said recently that it's ongoing.
Yeah. Yes, but that's what I'm saying, that the Vice, as you know, we have stopped. I saw pictures from Koforidua, just like Rex said. I agree with him. National Theatre, equipment-wise, and standard. So I stopped it and said that I wanted us all to make input. So I took Mr. Quaye, Frank's father, to Kumasi. We have pictures to that. So he gave us what we need and what we do not need. So we made a lot of changes. We got the contractor on ground and gave some direction. And that was how it stopped and why it's not moving on. But to say that it is the same as the Jabrim that he knew when he was performing Oma Messiah years ago when Resuban started life, it is not like that now.
And you had Mark, stating that he actually directed for the Ijabrem project to be brought to a halt. But let's go back to Rex Omar, because the story doesn't end here. Because he also stated that after years of, Gamro struggling to deal with login issues and finally signing an MOU with an American company which will be ensuring that problem is a thing of the past, Mark Okwekumanti, of course representing government, reached out to Gamro just weeks ago with a proposal to solve the same issue. And for Rex, he simply thinks that move by Mark was to score political points for the NPP.
You had already promised in your 2016 manifesto that you are going to organize some login machine or whatever. Nothing has happened.
We did our best. You were not for it.
Hold on. We'll come to you, Mark.
I heard Mark saying on radio that they did their best and we were not ready for it. I want to put
set the record straight.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You've been in power for 3.5 years. There was no time that you brought anybody to even do any presentation to government. We've been struggling as an organization to look for third-party companies that deliver this kind of services. It is only 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that my brother Mark called me telling me that the company has come to do some presentation to them, and then they want Gamro to deal with them. By then, we had already signed an agreement with an American company. Okay? And knowing very well that my brother Mark is a politician and I'm a politician, we have 3 months to election. You come and call me to tell me this, to use the optics to make yourself and your party look good. Already, thankfully, we have already signed an MOU. So if you say you've tried your best, if you are...
This is unfair. You see,
this is thankfully. Let me finish.
So for him,
let me finish.
It is deliberate to delay it and not accept
money. It is not deliberate.
So
let me finish.
And you heard Rex there. However, Mark denies this and told his side of the story.
Good Music came to see me on something for multimedia. And I thought that with the same concept, you can use it for login. So I called Rex and put him in a meeting for Good Music to have a presentation for him. If you like, call the Good Music. I asked them if they didn't meet Rex Omar on a login system thing. I did it.
You did it as okay, come and tell as what?
Rex.
Who do I work for?
Okay, you let me finish.
Not to interrupt.
Okay.
Who do I work for? We have very few minutes, so we have to be quick.
It is multimedia has not promised you a login system. Okay, come and say has not promised you a login system.
The NPP government promised.
Correct. So if I call you and I work for NPP and I tell you that, and why didn't call me NPP?
Rex.
So I did all that. I even told you that I have asked Abraham to send me how much you need to invest. Because you know the technology. Every time nothing came. So I noticed that the people themselves. So I gave a job to Spikey. You know Spikey?
Yeah.
So Spikey got this guy and partnered him. And a few weeks ago, they made a presentation to us. I said, okay, we're not the users. It is Gamro. So I called Abraham that we want to come and make a presentation to them. Abraham said we should bring a letter. So I said, what?
A letter to make a presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
I said, why? A letter. Are you not in need? He said, oh, yeah, that's how. So Frank wrote the letter. On his way, I called Rex and said, this day and age, we send mail. We don't write letters. So I expected him to ask me, especially when you work around technology.
Yeah.
And then Rex said, oh, he didn't tell you that we've engaged some people in America. I said, no. Everyone was actually asking us to bring a letter too. The CEO says bring a letter. The board chairman says we've engaged already. So I asked Frank to return. And Frank actually said that, let me drop the letter before in future they will go and say that we didn't bring anything. I told Frank that I trust Rex. He says they've engaged somebody already. But for that matter, we made efforts. Call Good Music and they will tell you that I did.
And you had Mark tell his side of the story. So yeah, that's it for the teasers I have for you. But like I said, 30 minutes of the show, which is the Manifesto Tracker, will be played on the show. And then Uncle Ken and his friends, I see Rasta coming in. I miss him. So yeah, he and Sadiq as well will be getting to the discussion proper. So yeah, you should stay tuned in for that. But let's now do some international news. And it wasn't my intention to start with a sad story, but I have to, because Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman actually has died, and he died of cancer, colon cancer. And according to report, he battled it for 4 years. He was diagnosed in 2016 of stage 3 colon cancer, and over the years it progressed to stage 4, and unfortunately he died yesterday at his home with his family, wife and friends around him.
It's very sad.
It
is.
And he was just 43.
Just 43. Let me welcome the rest of the panel. Like you rightly said, Kwame Rasta is here, Uncle Ken is also here, and Sadiq Abdullah Abu is also here. Karen, before you go, we can quickly touch on this one. Uncle Ken, did you know Boseman, Chadwick?
Saw him in Black Panther.
Black Panther, yeah.
Loved
his
skills, and I was very upset. I woke up at dawn
to
see this.
I was actually very awake because of VGMA. Go home early, so I was awake. And then I went on, social media, and then I'm seeing photos of him everywhere, and I literally screamed, I yelled out. It was
George. Nothing surprises me these days. Strange things happen on this earth, and even though this is a very sad thing to happen to a young man of 43 years. Is he?
Yeah, 43.
Yeah, 43 years. It's one of those things. There's nothing you can do about it, and all we can say is, at least he did his bit.
Yeah.
While on this earth.
But I'm particularly sad that all throughout these years of battling cancer, he kept mute about it. And that's.
Well, did you expect him to go and tell you he had colon cancer?
Uncle Ken, you see, I get where Karen is coming from. And there are people, especially if you're in showbiz space and all that, they will just not keep quiet.
Yeah.
Not everybody is like Rasta who keeps their problems to themselves.
Does he?
Oh, yeah. Rasta, his issues are plenty.
And you don't know him well.
Which was your favorite Chadwick Boseman movie?
Of course, Black Panther.
Was it? Sadiq?
Black Panther.
You too? Uncle Ken, Rasta,
I've told you already.
which was your favorite Boseman movie?
I haven't seen Black Panther.
No, his microphone. I think Rasta's microphone is not working. If we can check it.
Is.
Yeah. You haven't seen Black Panther?
No.
Oh, okay. So which? But he has a lot of other movies.
Didn't meet him too,
So you don't know him. Actually, my favorite movie It's not. It's a message from the king. You know, his sister was in LA, got involved with some drug people, and then they sort of harmed her, or I think, did they kill her? I think they killed her. And this guy flew from South Africa to LA, and the damage he caused there. Oh my God! But my favorite line from him, from all his movies, is that one in Avengers. Avengers is Endgame, the last one, where, you know, after they managed to bring them all back, and that thing they put their hand inside with the stones, with the, you know, infinity stones, that thing. The Spider Boy had got it and lost it, and then he just looked at him and said, "Give it to me." The way he says that, "Give it to me." Oh man,
he bodied it.
May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah, let's move away from that sad story.
Yeah.
To some other stories.
Which other stories do we have? We should go in. Okay, let's go in straight.
Is far from over because he was attacked in his Illinois jail cell by a fellow inmate, and his attorneys have found that as a nice opportunity to call for his release. Now, Doug Anton, an attorney for Kelly, told CNN that the singer's legal team had been advised by the U.S. Attorney's Office that the singer was on his bed in his cell at Chicago's Metropolitan Correctional Center when another inmate came in and started punching him. So the guards at the federal facility stopped the assault almost immediately, and Anton says that Kelly did not sustain any injuries and that x-rays did not reveal any fractures. But Steve Greenberg, another attorney of Kelly, said on Twitter that his legal team had received, conflicting reports as to the extent of his injuries, adding that the team has not been given information from the jail or Kelly himself. And the alleged incident as well comes a week before one of Kelly's attorneys, Tom Farinella, is set to argue for the singer to be released from prison ahead of his Brooklyn federal trial, which is also scheduled to begin at the end of September. So that's it for our international stories. But before I go, let me share with you what's trending on social media. And Chadwick, of course, is trending. Let me read a few tweets from that trend. And Kamala Harris was actually a friend of Chadwick, says from his groundbreaking work in Black Panther to his portrayal of Thurgood, Marshall, Chadwick Boseman helped paint a new picture of what's possible, keeping his friends, family and fans in my prayers during this difficult time. And Bernie Sanders
I saw that series too. He was a lawyer. He's just a fine actor. He just is. One fine actor.
Bernie Sanders also says our thoughts are with Chadwick Boseman's family and loved one and all the and his loved ones and all the fans he inspired with the spirit and groundbreaking performances. So those were some of the tweets from Chadwick's trend. And Kendrick Lamar is also trending. Let me find out why he's trending. And I think he's released a song because a lot of people are tweeting about a song by Kendrick Lamar. And also Lakon is consistent. It's also trending. It has to do with BB Niger. So those are some of the trends on Twitter. You can find out for yourself what's also trending. But that'd be all for Showbiz this week, guys.
Thank you very much, Noella Karinyale. We'll see you tonight.
Yeah, of course you are.
Definitely on the red carpet, huh?
No, not really. You're just going to enjoy it.
You're just going to have fun. You're not gonna.
No,
okay. All right. Since you asked us, we thought you'd be there, don't you?
Indeed.
Are you leaving us?
No, I'm not.
Before you go, there's one other.
You're staying for the conversation.
No.
Uncle Ken, you wanted to stay?
Yeah, I wanted to.
Okay. All right.
Did,
she looks like a Presbyterian woman.
See what?
She looks like a Presbyterian woman, eh?
She does.
What from that? You guys
I wanted a female.
Yeah, Rasta can get closer.
No, just
after all, he's braided his hair, so.
Something about looks. Have you guys noticed that Kenna's?
Yeah, he's looking sharp tonight. He's looking.
I said no, you just rubbed your
hair.
I have what?
I mean,
you trimmed nice.
Cut your hair.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I've used about 5 different words.
He's waiting to pound.
He's waiting. You want to be sure of the one that will not get you a go with you.
It's like he looks.
Thank you very much. And we're going to continue the conversation. But one other thing that happened about 62 years ago today, a man who I still say is the greatest musician or the greatest showman that ever lived was born.
George on Joy.
It's Showbiz A to Z.
Born August 29th, 1958. Again,
yes.
If you were alive.
Mm-hmm. Listen. Did he say?
No, not Uncle. If Michael Jackson were alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's give Michael his due. Wonderful artist, but don't forget the people who were behind him.
Yeah.
For this particular
the legendary
album.
Prince Jones.
The song was
legendary
by Rod Temperton
of
Heatwave fame,
and
produced by Quincy.
The legendary Quincy Jones.
The
No,
people
you can't say Quincy. You can't mention Quincy's name like that.
The big Q. The big Q. Everybody knows the big Q. You know, and I give him his due. But if you describe him as the best show business showman, I will dispute that, because he himself
would go to Elvis.
Will tell you that James Brown was the best showman.
Well, I didn't experience James Brown.
Yes, you did.
I didn't experience James Brown. But would you agree?
Would you agree
that
James Brown was a better showman than Michael Jackson?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe performance.
Michael learned all his moves from James.
The dance moves.
Yes.
But you see,
dance moves from James Brown.
Sadiq and Uncle Ken, that's where I wanted to go. Michael was beyond the dance moves. You understand? Michael was a complete.
He was all the scandals.
Yes, but that's what
together.
You know. He was everything. Because Michael Jackson was beyond just the dance moves. Michael Jackson was about the costume. Michael Jackson was about everything else. Anyway, let's get into the politics.
Wait, let me just find out.
Yeah.
In them days, I mean, you know how musicians come and they are so influential that people learn their dance moves and their dress code and everything.
Right.
Did you also, pick that as well? Learn some dance moves.
Have you not heard the?
You haven't heard the promo,
The promo.
The boogaloo. The man said he likes. Okay, which one do you say you like?
Boogaloo.
No, he said he likes smooching.
And the smooching, smooching is not a dance move.
No, but you like which one is the boogaloo?
JB's dance.
No, how is it done? Because I wasn't born, so I wouldn't know.
Unless I do it, I cannot explain it.
So show me.
I won't show you.
No. Okay, let's get into it. So, gentlemen, the NPP launched their manifesto, and just as we heard in Noela Karniale's showbiz this week, it's generated a lot of talk in the showbiz space. You know, and there were 5 major points that they promised in this 2020 manifesto. You know, they said in our next term of office, we'll make creative arts industry a major growth pole in Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. And to give effect to this, we have included it as one of the core industries for which we want to make Ghana a hub in West Africa. This will require significant government investment to support the industry and the youth in particular. Specifically, 1, we will set up the Creative Arts Fund to support artists, and then 2, in addition to completing the theatre in Kumasi, we will construct new theatres in Takoradi and Tamale. And 3, given that our artists do not have the capital to set up studios, we will, as part of the entrepreneurial hubs strategy, establish in partnership with the private sector large recording studios in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and Takoradi. Recording artists can rent the space to do their recordings in these studios. And finally, last but not least, actually there's a 4th one and a 5th one. Good. We will build a digital platform for artists to make their products available to the global market. We'll see the creative arts as a major growth pole. It has so much talent. The problem is access to studio. As a result, we'll set up large recording studios in Accra. Okay, that's a repetition. And then finally, to construct one of the world's biggest convention and exhibition centers in Accra. Specifically, I think it was at the Trade Fair Center. Okay, so this is what the NPP has promised us. And I think on the 7th, if I'm not mistaken, NDC will be sharing their manifesto as well. Sadiq, is it 7th?
Yes, 7th.
Why? I thought it was Monday.
No, it's been postponed. It's been pushed
back.
It's
been postponed?
Yes, it's been pushed back to 7th.
Any reasons?
The party, I'm sure we'll put out a reason. But the release had been released already.
Can you speak a bit loud?
I think the party would, give out a reason. But so far, there's no reason that has been adduced.
Adduced to the postponement.
Yes, to the postponement.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So let's get into it. Sadiq, we've heard you on a number of platforms on the manifesto. So let us not start from you. Let me start from Rasta. Or let's start from Uncle Ken, rather.
Why do you want to start from?
Oh, because I
don't have a problem.
Yeah.
The manifesto.
Yeah.
Instead of us, look, George.
Yes, Uncle.
Before I even start, I think I need to make this confession. I'm getting somehow fatigued with discussions about the creative industry, because we seem to be regurgitating issues and not having any solutions to the issues. Name calling, blame gaming. That's all that's happening within the industry at the moment. You guys will bear me out that as for me, I have said I did not understand why the New Patriotic Party had to make those
promises.
Yes, in their 2016 manifesto. I did not understand it because Sadiq would not agree with me somehow. I've always seen this industry as private sector driven. Much as I also admit that there are certain things the private sector cannot do and the government has to. For instance, if you come up and tell me that you're going to put up a court for what's it?
Copyright issues. Copyright courts.
The private sector can't do that. It's only government that can do a thing like that. So concentrate on doing that. The laws. Private sector cannot enact laws. Laws are enacted by government and its, agencies, or people that go along with them. So those are the things that government should concentrate on. When you tell me that you're going to construct, theaters, mind you, they would argue, but I haven't heard any of them even arguing, that the word they used was to pursue the construction of theaters.
They said large
ultramodern. Sadiq, thank you. What did you mean by that? Did you give me seating capacity? No. You didn't even give me seating capacity. So if large could be relative in this instance, anything from 2,000 could be large.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say so? Yeah. And then I say to myself, when the NPP made that promise, for instance, of the theatres, what did they have as knowledge base for them to be able to make that promise? Did they know that there were some dilapidated
cultural centers?
Cultural centers, George, thank you. Cultural centers in Kumasi, in Koforidua, maybe elsewhere, I don't know. Don't forget that the MPP manifesto of 2016 came out before the passage of the Development and Classification of Film Act 2016.
Yeah.
The passage of that act came on the 6th, after the NDC had lost the election. Yes.
The passage was in October.
Yeah. It was in December.
No, the passage was in October.
And then it was assented in 2016.
December 23.
December 2016. And I am saying that maybe they didn't know what was in the bill or the act. It was a bill then when they came out with their manifesto.
Yeah.
Because you know why I'm saying this, George? When you go into that act, you would find that.
So you're reading from the Development and Classifications of Film Act 2016.
2016
Act 935.
Yeah. Okay. And the Film Development Fund. It says there is established by this act a fund to be known as the Film Development Fund. The monies for the fund may be applied to fund viable enterprises that are mostly in their primary stages of development, but in some limited cases in advanced stages of development. The fund shall be managed by the board. Okay. Now the objects of the fund. That's where my issue is. The objects of the fund are to provide financial support for the development, the development and production of full-length feature films, which are the central focus of the fund, short and medium-length feature films, public education on attitudinal change and cultural values, television productions, television genres including drama, animated serials, sitcoms, blah, blah, blah. And then C is the critical point. C says cinema theater development in the regional and district capitals. Now, this is an act that determines what you can do,
you can and
should do with a fund. I've heard Sadiq on numerous occasions saying that the NDC left a fund. You did not leave a fund. You left an act.
You mean they did not leave a fund?
No, nobody has a fund as we speak.
Yeah.
Sadiq, wait. Nobody has a fund as we speak because the sources of that fund
should come from
are in the act. And nobody has applied the sources to generate that fund as we speak today. So we don't even have a fund. That is why the National Film Authority and whoever is mentioned in this act are not functioning properly. Because there's no money. There's no money. As simple as that. Okay. Now, I am saying that there is an eligibility criteria for people to access that fund. And again, central to the eligibility criteria, George, is a cinema theater developer. So I ask myself, why did the party decide to say that they would take upon themselves something that the law mandates somebody else to do?
Yeah.
By this, the law tells you that an individual can get up and say to the authority that, listen, I want to build a theater for the purposes of cinema or for something else, blah, 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 present their proposals, present their plan, and then the board or the managers of the fund will sit down and say, oh, okay, yeah, this looks nice. That is why I keep telling you, Sadiq, that I don't believe that government has to do this by themselves. Because this act allows a private developer to get up and go and access that fund when it's in place to put up.
So instead of government promising to put up things, all government needs to do is to make the fund available. And Kwame Rasta can get up and go and build it.
Exactly. Thank you, George. Thank you, George. And that is why I'm saying that in all the promises, the most important things that the NPP government had to do was to put the laws together. Create the necessary avenues for the fund to be put together, and then let people access that fund. Private. Look, in London, the Hammersmith Odeon, as it was known before, it's owned privately, and it hosts numerous concerts. The London Palladium is privately owned. Numerous concerts. The Barbican, privately owned. Numerous, and I'm saying that I don't get it when we go out of our way to always but then I don't blame us. We are only doing this because we have been promised. Have we not been promised? We are promised theaters in all the regions. And I'm saying that even if you come into government and you find out that, look, there are some cultural centers sitting down there dilapidated. What is the capacity of this cultural center? Where is it located? It's located in Koforidua. Does Koforidua need a 5,000-seater auditorium or theater? Then you ask yourself, you say, no, Koforidua does not need that. I think we can just put this thing together for Koforidua, and the people in Koforidua will have a theater where they can go and watch their films. Come out and tell us that this is what we have found out coming into office. But don't go about and say that this is part of what we promised. That's when you generate the anger.
And the fire that will come at you.
And the fire that will come at you.
Well said, Uncle Ken.
So, George, let me rest here for now.
Well said, well said. No, before I go to Sadiq, let me come to Rasta. Sadiq, sorry, Rasta. Uncle Ken has, what's the word to use? He schooled us, if I should put it that way. Yeah. Do you feel Ghanaians by nature, by our own nature, we give politicians too much opportunity to take us where right? some have said you don't get angry enough. You don't, and a lot of us don't even know the issues. Look, I've heard a lot of media people speak to these issues, and I've not heard anybody come from Uncle Ken's perspective.
There is always only one Uncle Ken. I mean, the angle from which he took the act, the DNCFA, the development and act is. I mean, it's only Uncle Ken.
Yeah.
You know, so congratulations, Accra. We are grateful to have you in our midst here. But George, you see, and that is partly the reason we are where we are at, where politicians can tell us anything they want, and let us feel like the question you posed, whether we are giving them opportunities to take us for a ride, George. That's what you asked.
Yes.
Now, the reason is, it is the responsibility of the media in the creative art space to not let Uncle Ken be the only one standing to come from that intellectual and very pertinent point of view, to intellectually interrogate and counter with. So if we had enough people in his mold, Uncle Ken's mold, the politicians at the time that the good people sat somewhere and decided to come and tell us this, to come and promise us this, to come and sing the way they have, they would have pulled their brakes somewhere midway through this not very useful promise, and then go like, listen, if we take this, what's a synonym for nonsense?
Go ahead, you've made your point.
Okay, if we take this thing to these creative arts people, there are Asimesi and Obentin who would come at us with this kind of. So again, I would not, and in answering your question, I wouldn't say that the politicians or we, the citizenry or persons within the creative art space, are giving politicians too much opportunities. I would say that we are in a situation where we don't even know who we are because we don't read. Illiteracy and yes, basically is our being. People want to pretend that because they earn a nickel or a shilling over a period, they do not mind what is really happening in the corridors of power. We are being told, I mean, Sadiq and Uncle Ken have confirmed that, and it's actually a fact that this act has been sitting since 2016 latter days.
Yeah, it has.
And after this act has been sitting down, between the period, what have persons within the space, but for this conversation, these promises which has provoked Uncle Ken's posture right now, or intervention, what have we done? We started here for 4 years. When the act was passed, we were alive. When Nanado was sworn into office, we were here. COVID has come and locked down and all them things have come to pass. We are still here. And it is only now that I have heard this portion of the Bible of the creative arts be laid bare. That's not on them.
It's on all of us, including you.
Yes. Oh, I'm on. I'm very close to the top. You see, George, if I were a politician, if people have your luck shines, I tell you the thing I tell you. I would have promised you people jollof and some things like Vlisco and because when they cite our petty squabbles as the catalyst or as proof that we are not serious, I disagree, because the bigger squabbles happen on the floor of parliament. But when you want to tell me that because we are uneducated and we don't read, we don't critically analyze our situation, apply it, and list on a scale of preference what we need and what ought to be done. Because of lack of this, we are not a serious bunch. I would agree and concede.
All right, let's move forward. Uncle Ken, there's a message here for you. There's a message from my boss and friend Jesse Ejapong.
Oh, Jesse. Oh,
yes.
I love that man.
Yes, Jesse says, Uncle Ken, subtle, progressive, and focused submission. Says, tell Sadiq I'm waiting to hear him out. So Sadiq, over to you.
All right, so George, in Uncle Ken, there are certain, when he speaks about government active participation or involvement in creative arts, he knows that there's at a certain level there's where I agree with him, and there's a certain level where I disagree as well, and this is why I often disagree. Look, the creative arts or the creative industry, just like every other industry, is mainly privately driven. However, the state often takes the lead in very other serious elements of the creative arts. Just like pharmacy industry. Recently, we heard about the Exim Bank, for instance, providing facilities to local pharmaceutical companies to enable them expand and produce so they can export, create more wealth, and create more jobs. This is the state taking an active participation in enabling the private sector. The laws that we need, like Akinkan said, is often taken, the lead is taken by the state. Then there is other active things that the state does to enable it. Correct. Look, take a look at Malta. Malta has become a film destination and it's encouraged tourism also because the state at a certain level realized that aside from having the locations and the 300 days of sunshine and all of that, they needed to put together a tax regime, a special tax regime to attract international film companies, like the 40% that they do. This again was taken by the state. Now, even when we talk about the Exim Bank today, creative arts products or creative products have assumed exportable status to the point where it should be relatively easy to be able to attract that kind of funds to be able to produce, export, create more wealth and jobs for the sector. So there's a need for that effective state-private sector collaboration to enable so there's a need for the state to actively get involved. Look, I've also made a point that you cannot drive any development in an industry without a thought leadership element of it. And that's why we are all speaking to it. So the state often takes the lead in most of these things, particularly through the state universities. So if, for instance, we say that between now and the next 4 years, we want to grow a very good group of people that will come in to run sector, for instance, and you decide that you're going to maybe enhance existing tertiary institutions and give them the necessary investments and everything to be able to churn out those people. This is the state taking an active state involvement in enabling it. So yes, the state needs to get involved. However, there's always a how. The how is that, like Rasta is saying, often in politics, we don't have people with that thought leadership of the creative economy to be able to inform and influence the various parties in terms of what they should do. And Ken, for instance, here have read something on the Film and Development Classification Bill, and you would clearly realize that primarily if there was somebody who understood all these things that was factored in, it could be a consultant, it could be a party person, they would have probably made informed decisions.
Correct.
And yes, if you come to me and I know you fully well that you need to get involved in it, I'm looking for certain informed decisions that you take to enable the sector. I have a consistent view on studios, for instance, the recording studios.
Before we get into the studios, because I would want us to take the studios as a different topic on its own. So wrap up on this one, because there's a message that addresses what Uncle Ken said earlier.
And then it's also not true that as an industry we have not consistently, on the basis of our experience and insight, spoken to government, call out them on platforms such as this to get them to do better. It is not true.
It's not true.
When we do
said
no, I mean there's
that narrative is also out there. People also say we are not serious.
Look, let me give an example. Let me just wrap up. Just this year, the Event Meetings and Producers Association of Ghana, MPAG, got KPMG to do their own impact assessment analysis of COVID on the eventing industry.
Yeah.
I am aware they've engaged various different government officials and ministries on this in order to be able to, they got a number, gave recommendations and everything. It is not true. Look, and I need to let people understand. It is also not true that the caliber of the people in the industry are people who do concerts. There are serious people who have had varied experiences working in sector and enabling me. In some years ago when I was young and running programming and productions at Bassat when I was young, I had that insight. We've done all these things from Africa to everything. So it's not true that we don't have serious people. We've consistently on this particular platform raised the subjective issues and called out government to say, look, when we get to the studio, for instance, I'll give you a very interesting view on how we can. But it is also not true. The state also needs to get involved.
What you're saying is true.
Yes.
But who are the people at the helm of affairs of the various associations
or the parties
that meet
There is
government?
an aspect of this that we all miss.
That meet government.
Oh, I mean,
who are the people?
Let me give you an example.
It is those associations who have issues.
Let me give you an example.
No, and not individuals like you and others who are capable of doing things.
Both you and Uncle Ken and Sadiq, hold on. There is an aspect of all this that we are missing. There are people like us who speak to power all the time and all that.
Yes.
Trust me, we're in the minority.
Yes.
I was in the office of a very, 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 very respectable man early in the week. You understand? And we're discussing the creative economy space. And he said, you people, nobody will take you seriously because you use your airtime to discuss naked women. If some and people insulting each other. When the politicians, when the other shows wake up in the morning, they've picked agricultural sector.
George,
they've picked. Hold on, let me land. They've picked agricultural sector. They've picked this sector. They picked that sector, that sector. And I said, actually, the problem is those, because though there will be a number of platforms, including the news, that will focus on politics, focus on development, focus on this, and then entertainment will have some 30 seconds or some 20 seconds. There are those of us in the industry who are speaking our possible best and trying to elevate the thinking by doing programs like these, while others will discuss. But there's also the fact is, it is entertainment. That aspect is also important.
George, I've also
because hold on, Sadiq, hold on. We can do this kind of show every day, and we may be at the bottom of the ratings.
Yes,
you understand? But because this is not entertaining, this is hard talk. It is serious.
Yes. I've also consistently made the view that when we make some of these things, we make excuses for these people. Look, in agriculture, for instance, which unit takes the lead in mapping out the sector, right, and drawing out the values and making policy decisions for them? Is it the farmers?
It is not the farmers.
Sadiq, hold on. You see, this posture of, for instance, I mean, I know you are just citing an example, but make no mistake.
Okay.
I am on the grounds with Agric. The quality, the depth.
Yes.
I know persons who can barely read and write, but when they speak with you in vernacular, the knowledge they would bring to bear on government policy with regards to where drugs, fertilizer should go, the proportions and whatnot. So again, we could say same for in the creative, but the difference is in the depth.
Yes, I'm bringing the point.
Practical knowledge.
Look, I'm building the point. When I say so, I'm saying so knowing that these various people that end up in government know that if you are, for instance, one of the major things that a lot of governments promise is the need to create wealth and create more jobs, for instance. In identifying that, you know the politicians. Some, mind you, not all of them are specialists in a lot of areas, but they are able to find out and know that, okay, we need to do A, B, C, D. Just sometimes, that's why for me, I felt that people like us need to get involved in politics to influence some of these things. So I'm saying that once the states or these political parties know that they need to do some of these things, look, we've seen instances where these the government engage consultants where they have to. In the event they don't have some of these specialists within the parties. Just today, there's a conversation on something like that where somebody was engaged as a consultant to help them drop out all of these things. So we've seen that instances. It is not an excuse for you to tell us that because the thought leadership is lacking within your government, you will not, and also because the industry do not understand some of these things, you wouldn't know, for instance, that you need to pass the broadcasting bill, for instance, or advertising bill. So that's the point that I'm saying.
Sadiq, again,
however,
let me
within
interrupt.
the parties
Sadiq, hold
itself,
on.
how many
let me
really
interrupt.
engage their party people?
Sadiq, this is the mistake we make. We want to believe everybody should think like us. I think that is where the problem is. Because again, I'm listening to you, and what you are saying is very true. Ceteris paribus. That's Latin for all things being equal.
Go ahead.
I think I know it's a mobile thing. You know, that's all things being equal in a normal society where everybody is, exposed, everybody thinks at the same level and all that. Then what you are saying would be true. You understand? But what Kwame Rasta said has a lot of depth in it. If they brought the same kind of practicality to our space, you will be shocked to marvel that if they asked them, put a few creatives down and say, oh, okay, what do you think you need most for your industry? You'll be shocked to say, some will say, give us money and let us go and buy food.
George, giving, you would, I call you,
be shocked. Oh, hold
George,
on.
You guys are feeding off.
No, we are not feeding off. No,
that seems to look down on the creative economy.
Sadiq, hold on. No. Sadiq, hold on. No.
Sadiq,
that is not the problem.
The debt is here. Look, let me give you an example of for instance, Afro Nation, for instance, right? When they were coming, and they had the same narrative, thinking that, they needed to bring in equipment, they needed to bring in a team from abroad and everything because they thought it was lacking here. Until they came here, realized that everybody that you needed, that you think you would have gotten in the developed market was here. That's how they ended up using 99% of Ghanaians to work on Afro Nation and using every single equipment that was here. And that's why I keep saying to you that we are also we need to be able to create the narratives right. Here are we agreeing that we may not have that debt, and I'm just indicated to you. No, that's the evidence suggests that we are lacking because we no, it is wrong. We are not saying you that the impact, for instance,
Sadiq, we haven't said we don't
use that
as
an example. Have taken a lead
one voice, please.
in driving a certain thought leadership angle to these things, and I'm saying that it is not true. If yes, within the parties they are lacking, no, it does not mean that in the country it is lacking. It is not lacking.
Sadiq, let Uncle Ken come in. Sadiq, yeah.
I agree with you, but I also make the point that individuals like you, like George Quaye, like those you claim have the knowledge base, are not the people who are engaged
for the parties
when it comes to the decision making.
Exactly.
That is the problem.
Exactly.
That is the problem. It is not you people who are engaged.
So who do we blame in this case? So, I'm not blaming anybody, but how do we?
You know who we blame? You know who we blame? We blame the leadership of the organizations who are met by government.
The people that feed into the making of the manifesto, the creation, the drafting of the manifesto.
Those are the people.
Because you'd be surprised to note, Uncle Ken, that even some of these parties have knowledgeable people in these fields who are not consulted. When some of these things are being consulted, I mean, we know.
Yes.
Within this last one, for
we know.
I checked. I asked some of the people that, for instance, did the creative aspect and said, Chief, I know how you are involved in this particular party. I know what you did prior to 2016, for instance. In this particular instance, I've seen some very interesting promises, for instance. And I know if you were sitting there,
you would
this
not.
promise would not come out. How engaged were you in this?
And what did they tell you?
So they didn't even know about the process.
So Sadiq, let me just make a point. You see the point I made about the theaters and accessibility of funds for people who wanted to get themselves involved with putting up theaters. It's in the law. But who knew about this law before the court or whoever it is converged to put up the manifesto of the MPP?
And for me, Uncle Ken, with
who? Because the law at that point, when they were putting together the manifesto, had not been passed. For people to know that, wait, let's not take it upon ourselves to promise people we are going to do this, because it is catered for in the law. So when we come and we operationalize the law that had been passed just before the erstwhile government left office, we have access to that fund for people to put up these things. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. So they come up and they tell you, I'm going to put up all these theaters all over the place. And now who has the problem. And I'm saying that as we speak today, I don't know the number of people who know that it is in that law that you can access funds to put up theaters in the districts and regional capitals.
They didn't even know that.
Sadiq, you see, you mentioned that you sought from certain knowledgeable people
that are involved in the party,
who should have ordinarily been involved with this kind of promises. And it is because they have had an experience with the 2016 situation.
Okay. So they distance.
These same people, hold on, are the persons who put out the first covenant that said that the MPP was going to build
9 regional.
Yes. 9 regional based on what science? Based on what knowledge? Based on their own knowledge, which is being touted to be like par excellence, so much that we are not lacking in depth. So my point again is, if the MPP is lacking in depth, then it is lacking in depth. But even if we crucify the MPP for shallowness, for want of a better expression, can we cite deep in NDC? And who? And based on what?
I think it would be unfair to bring NDC into the conversation until their manifesto has been reviewed. Let the manifesto come out and let's see what's in there.
Please, George. The reason I only cited them in passing because we are coming from like not 100 years ago. We are coming from just before 2016.
And for me, I'm not.
And we had issues to contend with.
And Rasta, for clarity, we are not saying any party has shallow people. We haven't said that. That is not the picture we are trying to paint. Just for clarity.
We are just saying that
exactly.
To help our conversation. So again, the point is, and Uncle Ken, it is quite instructive the angle you took it from with regards to the right person not being engaged.
Right.
It that sort of solves half of the issue if the right persons are engaged.
Because the leadership of all the associations are at loggerheads with each other.
You understand? Now, once the right persons are engaged, it sort of halves the problem. Implementation is another conversation. You could have all the finest brains and the purposes and whatnot, black and white, but implementation, if there is no political will or capital.
Kwame, I've just given Sadiq certain documents, and I brought them just to show him how long
process
it has taken
the paper trail
for that Film
and
Development and Classification Act 935 to be passed.
I'm seeing here from 2000.
Yes,
exactly.
I mean, I have brought you document because I was
part of the creation of that. Yes, gentlemen, hold the thought. Let me go to the phone lines quickly. Sadiq, hold on. Let me go to the phone lines quickly and speak to Nana Jua Adobia Sante, Acting Director, National Folklore Board. Hello, Nana.
Hi, George.
Good.
How are you doing? It's been a while.
It's been a while. Couldn't be better. We're good. I think the last time we engaged was.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, Nanadra.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Yes, I was saying you're right. It has been a while. I think the last time we engaged was during last year's VGMAs, thereabouts. Oh, we lost Nanadra on the line. We'll try to raise her again on the phone lines. Okay, gentlemen, let's continue with the conversation.
Making the point that in terms of saying that because industry is a loggerheads, it's more or less like an excuse not to enable it from the state side. Look, let me give you examples of when you go into education, for instance. Do you know how many of the teacher groups, for instance, we have almost basically doing the same thing, but started from, say, the main one, which is what NAT.
Yeah.
Then we had NAGRAT at a point, and then we had consent teachers at a point, and then we had whatever at a point. It was also because at certain points they had disagreements and same things that we are having, the whole debate of ideas and everything, making them go separate ways. But regardless and consistently, I get it that obviously here we'll not maybe compare the education or the creative economy, but I'm just citing an example. But regardless of these debates, back and forth, disagreements or whatever, or however we'll call it, the state consistently takes a stand to enable them. And it's also because of the activism and the debates and the differences that is actually even driving today on Manifesto. I'm really glad about something, that this activism is paying off. Have you guys realized that the creative economy or the arts seems to be assuming a certain status even over sports?
It is. And Sadiq, hold the thought again. We're going back to the phone lines. You are right on that point. Let me go back to the phone lines. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Nanajua, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful. Good afternoon.
Hello?
How are you? Yes. Hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello, Nanajua.
Hello?
Yes, Nanajua, we can hear you. Good afternoon. Hello, Nanajua.
Hello?
Okay, it appears we're having a few technical challenges. We'll see if we can get the technicians to fix that, and then we'll raise Nanajua on the line again. Well, Sadiq, you do have a point. There's a message here. I said earlier that there was a message for Uncle Ken.
Yeah.
Says, boss, my name is Tofik. Uncle Ken's analysis cannot hold in reference to the NFA Act when the National Theatre Act is already in place long before the NFA, and that was part of our reference when we sat in 2016 to draft the manifesto.
Oh,
That's from Tofik Pra, immediate past Deputy Executive Director of National Theatre. Okay, all right.
So what exactly does Tofik want to tell us? That
I think that he wants to make the case that...
No, because my point is, if theatres are taken care of in Act 935, he says that was not in place then.
No. He's saying that it's that requirement is also still part of the...
No, I think the point I was trying to make is that the National Theatre Act supersedes or trumps the act you're talking about. Exactly.
Right. And
so it trumps it. But the question is, what was in the National Theatre Act? That is what we don't have. Yes, that's what we don't have here. So, Tofik, if you can share, if there's a link somewhere or if there's a soft document that you can shoot to us, we'll be grateful.
That's why, for instance, I'm glad. I just wanted to know if Nanajua comes. One of the questions
yes.
probably ask
She's
her.
not here yet.
She's here now. Let's go to the lines again. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Nanajua, how are you? Hello, Nanajua, can you hear me? Hello, Nanajua. The devil is
Hello?
Yes, Nanajua, can you hear me? This is what a gun will say. Yeah, he was. Hello, Nanajua.
George. Hello?
Nanajua, okay. Technicians are still working on it. Let's come back to the studio, gentlemen. Yes.
George, you know what? I started off by telling you I'm getting fatigued.
Yes, you did. You did.
Conversation. Because we have it all the time, and we never... I think that government should concentrate on what government should do. Look, we have an institution like NAFTI. That's under government control.
Yes.
I can't hear
go ahead, Uncle Ken. I can hear you.
Under government control. Government should concentrate on equipping NAFTI, right? To bring NAFTI to certain standards.
You speak about NAFTI? You speak about NAFTI? NAFTI, like the University of Ghana, has a structure sitting there. Yes. That structure has been sitting there for over 30 years. No, I get passionate when I hear these ones.
George, that's what I'm talking about. That's what government...
But even NAFTI, I get angry when I look at NAFTI, because I keep asking myself, what is NAFTI doing sitting where it is sitting?
Yes.
A land, a one plot land at that place.
Yes.
Do you know how much it costs? If they move NAFTI to Dodoa, they can build a state-of-the-art school for Africa. What is it sitting there doing in the cantonment?
George,
that's
when NAFTI could have housed a film village.
Exactly. What is NAFTI doing sitting in cantonment?
People, personnel.
Exactly.
Readily prepared to deal with the issues in that.
And if we are not mistaken,
because I don't understand what's
Uncle
going
Ken,
on.
I said if we are not mistaken, they should be sitting. They should be sitting on what? At least if we combine the space they've taken in that cantonment enclave, if I'm not mistaken, they should be up to about what, 10 acres or so, and they are there in the most expensive part of Accra, where that land alone can build a state-of-the-art film school for Africa. What is it doing there?
Here's my view on the studios, for instance, and I've consistently made it and said that, look, rather than create these studios for, say, industry, I've always made the point that you cannot drive an industry without a thought leadership. Today, a lot of things are changing. NAFTI needs the sound stages and the studios to be able to train the next batch of people. I've seen George on a campaign or advocacy for School of Performing Arts theatre.
It's a shame.
So my point was that,
it is a shame.
For instance, you're going to
17 years.
NAFTI
17
or probably
years.
even GIJ and add maybe School of Performing Arts. Take them to a place and make all these massive investments there.
Thank you.
So that the next batch of people that are coming to come
Thank
out
you.
will not only learn these processes, but also the enterprise of it and the best practices. That it's a way. When people say we don't have structures, in the matured market, beyond the laws, what they essentially mean by the structures is that the body of knowledge or work that exists to guide industry on what to do often sits with the labels or the mega labels and then academic institutions. You understand? So they always find a way where they push people come into the labels. You know that, okay, if I enter in and come to as an A&R, this is where I go to, this is where I go to, this is where I go to. If I come in as a production assistant, this is how I'll go through to this point and everything, which gives you a certain sense of, structure of industry beyond the laws. So obviously you need the people, you need the private organizations, and then you need the academic element of it. This is why and when Mark introduced the idea of the studio, Mark will bear me witness that my consistent view was that it is needed. However, it should sit with the academic institutions. Don't look at NAFTI studio, for instance. You know, so that you can, if the whole idea of it is to train, because there are people here, but in terms of maybe giving us that sample, like I've always mentioned about Kofi Butimenes. I've spoken about U-Beats. We know Sami Elwani. Sami Elwani, for instance, did the Afro Nation. When they thought that, they are going to bring in some sound guy, then they met Sami Elwani, and he did it fantastically well. They're impressed. You know, so they are here. How do we pass on and leverage all these insights and experiences and pass the same knowledge to a new group of people that are coming, so that you can really, in some few years, change the industry? Sadiq, how do you make all of these plans?
Sadiq, you see the structure government just commissioned not too long ago in Kumasi to cater for the northern demand. I mean, sort of. Is there a school? Was there a special school?
The secondary school.
No.
The SHS.
Yes.
The Creative Arts Secondary School.
The Creative Arts Secondary School. Is that not supposed to sort of mirror what?
It's one of the steps, but I'm saying that yes. No. That is secondary school. NAFTI is professional tertiary institution where you actually learn the trade. So there are differences to it, but it's still a good step regardless.
Okay. So the land that Mercy Esiedu's husband
that was supposed for the film village. So
the film village is supposed to be an improvement of NAFTI, for instance, or that is more like a marketplace, like an industry hub.
I am saying that
studio space for industry.
If it was
we need to try and be bringing this conversation down. It's almost 5. Yeah.
The operations of NAFTI would have been excellent.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
100%.
I agree.
And it would have been excellent.
And if you ask
I don't know why you go promising some association.
And if you ask Mark, 2 years ago when he made a point, that's the same thing that I said, look, rather than, for instance, do it and give it to industry, look, they make a point that access to studios, there's no access to studios today. But today, young actors have more access to studios and recording devices in the world because it's changed than it did before. But the institutions, he's on a campaign. He's on a roll for School of Performing Arts.
And I agree with him.
When I finish, I'm moving to NAFTI. The NAFTI one is personally heartbreaking.
For productions, for instance.
Personally heartbreaking.
When I book NAFTI for productions, for instance, I have to bring in outside lights, bring in all the other things, because a lot of the things that is there is still obsolete. But they need
put in the requisite investment in these places. And, I mean, wouldn't it have been a beautiful concept to have a film village established where NAFTI is operating, so that NAFTI can turn those graduates
my good friend Franklin
straight onto the operating field.
My good friend Franklin just said he can't believe NAFTI might be sitting on the acreage that I mentioned. Apparently, a lot of people know just the main NAFTI.
Sure, they don't know the back where the
there's a different there's a second studio, and then there's the uncompleted complex which has about an 800 seater auditorium and all that, and then there is the hostel itself, which is off the prestige lane and all that. Look, they occupy a lot of space they don't need to occupy in that area. If the lands there alone were occupied, they can sort out NAFTI, sort out University of Ghana, sort out whatever.
George, what did we have instead?
Them together.
Instead, we had a discussion on where a film village should be sited, whether in the Ashanti region or in the Eastern region.
bring them together.
Hold your hold it, gentlemen. This one said, ask Sadiq where he was when John Mahama was president. Is John Mahama who came to spoil entertainment industry with doom so? Kwame Okoto-Adieso. Okay, that's your opinion. This one says the politician knows we don't read as a people. Well, that's exactly what we were saying earlier. That's the point we're trying to make. Sadiq disputes it. Sadiq, I think it's true. There's some truth in there. This one says, why can't the art and entertainment body choose their projects and government will execute that for you within the time frame? Giving money to you as a body makes difficult and accountability becomes a problem. Charles in Norway. Charles, I beg to differ on that also. If you give money to responsible people, accountability would not be a problem. And there are responsible people in this country who can do good for our industry.
Shelley, for instance, is already producing movies and giving it to Netflix.
Exactly.
Van Nelson is doing so.
Exactly.
One of the main things Shelley and Van Nelson will tell you they need is the funds to continue to, because already there's a funnel. They know how to produce, they know how to take it to the market, and then they make money back. But often the reason why they are not able to produce more movies in a year, for instance, is that they have limited funds, so they can do maybe one or two. But often there's a way that it comes back.
Let me open the phone lines.
To continue to produce these things and put it on these platforms to make money and to continue to create more wealth in the industry. There is a way. It has been done. You don't actually even need to necessarily reinvent the wheel.
You do have a point. You're tuning into Joy 99.7 FM. The show is Showbiz A to Z. We're here till 6 o'clock. This one says Diana Hamilton will win the VGMA Artist of the Year. That's Eddie in DC. And that is going to be our next discussion. After this one, we're going to go into the VGMAs, look at the categories that are up, and then we'll see how quickly we can analyze some of them. Now, Uncle Ken, there was this other manifesto promise that shocked me a bit. Or should I say, it sort of excites me. And it makes me wonder, not the digital platform. The digital platform, I don't even see how it should be a campaign promise, honestly. You understand? Because I think, again, it comes back to the same thing. It is something that, who needs it the most? It is Ghana Music Rights Organization. And I think the leadership of Ghana Music, they need a login platform. You understand? Oh, the digital platform is where we can put up our creative works. Again, I think it's something that private sector should take up. And it's been doing already. It shouldn't. That's what I said. It shouldn't be a private. It shouldn't be a campaign promise.
There are talents in this country are already doing.
They are already doing exactly.
YouTube, Netflix,
exactly.
Apple Music, Spotify, Boomplay,
exactly.
Music Time. They are doing it.
Yeah.
What I needed to actually even know from them is that, do you really understand this? Do you understand the process and how they deal with them enough to want to?
What informed it to me, Sadiq, that people were considering dadesend.com.
The one that I wanted us to look at was to construct one of the world's biggest convention and exhibition centers in Accra.
That I think is
gentlemen,
already.
The biggest exhibition center in the world. This one they said in the world. Construct one of the world's biggest, the biggest in the world currently, is in Shanghai, the country with the world's largest population. It's a 400,000 mass, ground space kind of auditorium. It's called the NECC. It's huge. Yeah. It is very, very huge, and we're looking at putting ours at the trade fair. Question: do we need it?
No, a convention center.
That's a lot of this.
Encompasses several.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
I mean, you go to the convention center in South Africa.
Definitely. Yeah.
The sort of events that are held there, and that kind of thing. And I ask myself, well, we have the land around this
trade fair,
don't we?
Yeah, well, the trade fair, everything, all the pavilions A, B, and C are already down.
I know that this for instance has started, but in the design that I saw,
I did not see that either.
I've seen the designs and the artist impression of the new
trade fair. I've seen it too,
and it included a convention center.
Okay,
it said 5,000. That particular convention.
No, you see
5,000.
Yes, right. And I saw a particular design. So I don't know if maybe what was in the original trade fair development plan, for instance, will change to give way to this new offering. Lots more questions, but I know that it's part of the trade fair development plan, right, to have a convention center. So I'm sure maybe it's a way of saying, okay, let's appropriate it, obviously, for the creative sector. But from what we know it's. I've seen. I'll go back to the document again. I think it's 5,000 seater convention center, where right behind where the administration, the trade fair administration is. No, actually, where the administration will be, that is where it's. Meant to be sited. So I know that's happening already. The demolitions have started in the trade fair, and the trade fair itself is going to go.
George, just before we finish this, I think we should pay homage. Is homage the right word? We should applaud a lot of the creative practitioners who, by themselves, are doing things. That is gaining them a lot of money, a lot of popularity. Or whatever, because there's so many of them doing these things. They're not sitting waiting for government
you have a point.
to come and do anything for them, but they themselves.
No, but the government.
Thanks to technology, gentlemen, hold on. Thanks to technology, we've been able to leave the phone lines and go to Zoom, and we've been able to connect Nanadra on Zoom. So let me go straight to Zoom and see if I can get Nanadra Adubia Asante. Hello, Nanadra, can you hear me now?
Hi, George. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Beautiful. Technology is beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. There's one technical challenge here. We just moved to the other option.
That's exactly what it's. That's what we're talking about. Okay. Now, I heard you read out the manifesto promises on tourism and creative arts. Congratulations. Nice presentation there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you like the song at the end too. I was echoing my people. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Now, I have one question. Then I'll leave the rest to my panel members. In the studio, I'm with Uncle Kanadi, Kwame Ajimanbe Konwekebe, Kwame Rasta, and Sadiq Abdullahi Abu. What the companies that I've worked in over the years, especially while I was at Charterhouse, there was a thing my bosses would always ask you anytime you took a presentation to them. What is the big idea? What is the NPP's big idea for our creative sector? Not tourism, creative. What is the big idea?
All right. So first, I would just like to greet your listeners and then the panelists that were able to make it to the studio. I apologize for not making it to the studio too. I'm excited that the Nana-led government has actually brought to the fore our creative arts industry in the sense that it is pivotal to the agenda of the government. It was pivotal in the 2016 manifesto, and this has been demonstrated through the many things that have been done. And in round two, there are more and more promises to be done for us as creative artists. There are 5 underlining themes that guide or drive the the mandate of the Nana-led government with regards to the creative arts industry. And these are financial support, infrastructure and proper structures, trade and marketing, protection of our intellectual property rights, and human capacity development. So these are the underlining themes. And with regards to all this, time and time again, both manifestos demonstrate how this will be achieved. And in the first term, there have been tangible deliverables that show that if giving round 2 or even given 4 more to do more, there will be more that will be done. So with regards to financial support, we have the World Bank support that is in the range of about $9 million for just third-party grants, monies that will be given to industry players to further promote their business. Then there's $15 million that is geared towards skills development. So that also goes into the human capacity development. Then we have the MBSSI. The MBSSI disbursements. The president actually instructed that 50 million cedis be set aside for us. So that's what shows that this is a government and a president that cares about us as a creative arts industry. Then the Ghana Tourism Authority has also supported filmmakers to make, for various films. They supported about 10 filmmakers to make 10 films. And this was in the tune of about 200,000 cedis. Then we go to the infrastructure. So with the infrastructure, we have the Creative Arts School that has been commissioned in Kwadaso in the Ashanti region. Then we have our theaters, the theaters of which 2, there's one, Koforidua has been completed, Kumasi is ongoing, and in round 2, Takrade and Tamale will come on.
Hold on the theater. Hold on the theater bit. In the initial promise, you said you were going to build large, ultra-modern, large capacity seating theaters. Are these what you're building, or you're refurbishing already existing cultural centers?
Yes, so I should have said the controversial theaters because I knew that would come up. So I think we should not overemphasize the semantics because that takes away from what exactly we need the theaters for. We as creative artists needed theaters as an avenue for us to showcase our talents. An edifice has been put in place for that. Yes, there were abandoned projects that have been brought up to standard that we need to focus on. So in the sense that, yes, you would say that, yes, it's not new in the sense that it wasn't a bare land in which a property was erected, an edifice was erected. But then it's about the goal. What we needed, it has been given. That is the fact that now we have somewhere to showcase our talents. So I think that's what it is. And then what?
No, I don't think that's what it is. You see, and sorry, I have to hold you on this one a bit because it is dear to us in the creative space. Let us even forget about the building, the structure itself. The key element in that promise, which tickled our fancy or got some of us very interested, is that word ultra modern, large, ultra modern and large. The buildings that have been refurbished, in your opinion, are they ultra modern and large enough as you had envisaged in the promise you made?
Okay, so more is going to be done. That's why I was coming to that. I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen the amphitheater at Legon or when you go to Alliance Francaise, the amphitheater there, that qualifies as a theater. The National Theater is also a theater. So there are, there are different elements of what constitutes a theater, and there are different edifices that can be considered as theaters.
I agree with you 200%. The same way when you go to France, there's the Le Louvre, and there's also when you cross over, there's the Hanover Mess and all that. These are all giant structures that could be called. Okay, all right. Then sorry. Please go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just giving the background.
Okay.
That as a listening government, when Koforidia was completed, the industry, there were concerns about the fact that there were certain things that we as an industry needed the theater to have, which did not have. As you said, the promise of a large, ultra-modern theater. So there were certain concerns that were raised. And being a listening government, that is why the Kumasi Theater was then stopped for the architects to go back to the drawing board, taking into consideration the concerns of key stakeholders in the industry like FIPAC, the Creative Arts Council, and the likes. So now the Kumasi Theatre, for instance, that is ongoing. It is not going to be like the Koforidia one because as a listening government, the government heard our concerns and there has been a change. Let's say that the architect has gone back to the drawing board and the designs have been submitted, approved, and within the next 2 weeks, he is going back to site to make sure that certain things that we did not have in the Koforidia one will be done. And the honest truth is that this is a listening government. We have a president who is compassionate, a president who has promised to do something for us, and he's done it. There may be a few deficiencies, but that is what is good about giving him 4 more to do more for you. Instead of us starting from ground zero, let's give him 4 more to do more, so that there can be improvements.
Nanadra, what do you say to those who also opine strongly that they believe it would be fair if, say, the NPP came out to say, look, we promised you brand new ultra-modern theatres. However, we couldn't deliver that one, so make do with this. While we go ahead, hopefully in the future, we'll put up something new. Would it be so difficult to admit that you didn't put it up?
George, that's what I'm saying, that the fixation on new, it will not be economically wise to go and get another land to just start building in order to satisfy the qualification of new. When there's an abandoned project that can serve the same purpose. The locations also are very prime. With Kumasi, it is at the cultural center. So these are prime locations which benefit us as creative artists.
That's all right. And well, I was gonna let us not go on. I did not see much about education in the creatives. Is it not key to the grand idea? Because I've still not heard the big idea. I've heard what you've promised, a number of things. I was hoping to hear like a big idea, something that we're all driving towards this. And in driving toward this, these are the things that we'll do. These are the key elements that we'll pull together to drive toward this. But it's okay. What
no,
is,
let me respond to that. You remember I said there were 5 pillars.
Exactly.
So I was going to come to, so we didn't finish infrastructure, but I'm sure the time is running out. So let me respond to the human capacity development, which is the education you are talking about. The Creative Arts Senior High School is very important. When I was growing up, I liked to sing, but I didn't have President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to give me the opportunity to go to school to actually study creative arts and become a singer. So I had to go and do my law like that. So this opportunity to have a creative arts senior high school is very, very important. Now, when some of us are born talented. Some of us too admire the creative arts space, but we don't have the talent. Now all of us have the opportunity to go to school to learn about the industry and become entrepreneurs in this industry.
Sorry. So wait, you're going to build a school?
No, the school is being built.
Interesting.
It's being built at Prada, so at the moment, yes. You can visit.
Are you aware that
we can go visit it one of these
days. You can invite me. I'll gladly come along.
All right, we'll do that. And then with the education too, the master classes that have been held time and time again. I think for the past 3 years, there have been so many master classes, and that's also part of the education that we need to also, the education is not only just students going to a
definitely the master class to help grow the industry. That is good. I'm going to ask one more question before Sadiq will come in. Before Sadiq comes in. One more question.
Let me just land with this. So, and then the recording studios will also be an avenue for learning. So it's not only a place where a musician or a filmmaker or somebody who needs to do some form of recording will go to record, but now new young sound engineers can even go there to learn more about the trade. And for instance, I'm relatively young, and anytime you go looking for a job, thankfully I started internships and work a bit earlier, so I don't have that problem. But a lot of my colleagues have the issue of, do you have the requisite experience? Now, these recording studios backed by the government will ensure that now there's a training ground for those who need to learn and get the capacity, so that they can even be fed into the private owned
studios. Very good. That's very good, Nana.
The studio will be a PPP. It is not that it is the government doing it solely, but there will be.
Yes, I think that one was stated clearly. We understand that. Okay, moving forward. Now, this clearly would cost us some money, wouldn't it? All these for the education space, the building of the schools and everything, it's going to cost us a bit. So are you aware that there's already, when you go to the University of Ghana, for instance, there's already a theater there that was started 17 years ago that has been abandoned? Are you aware the students that are training at the School of Performing Arts, when it starts raining, they cannot hold a play, they cannot do anything, and the same with the amphitheater at the back of Commonwealth Hall? Are you aware that the University of Drama, the theater studio was built in 92 and hasn't had any proper renovation since? And the new one that was started has been abandoned and left alone for 17 years? That aside, when you cross over to the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI, are you aware there's a structure there that has been abandoned for about 40 years now, if I'm not mistaken? And that is supposed to be an ultra-modern studio. That is supposed to have the sound studio that you want to build is going to have a cinema that can be used for movie unveiling and all that. Are you aware of some of these things? Don't these fall in line with the education agenda? Or those structures, they are not important?
Yes, so we are aware that there are a lot of challenges when it comes especially to our industry. And as I keep on repeating, as a listening government, there will always be, with the promise, for instance, of studios, the specific location has not been mentioned. So we're putting the cart before the horse when we assume that it will be a new edifice, or it will be an old edifice, or it will be refurbished or renovated. So that's all we're saying. That the point is there will be studios, recording studios, but we cannot state that because NAFTI has a recording studio, it will be that one, or it will not be that one.
I'm not saying NAFTI has a recording studio. I'm saying NAFTI has an abandoned theater. Just like the University of Ghana, abandoned. NAFTI is over 30 years abandoned. University of Ghana, 17 years and counting. Abandoned, left alone.
Yeah, so I'm happy you've said abandoned, and you're stressing abandoned, because that is the same theory that applies to the theaters that were abandoned structures that have been refurbished, renovated, all the semantics. So these are all projects that are going to be considered by the government holistically, and then the right redress will be taken. So these, as you can tell, this government is not about the thing, let us go and cut sword at some faraway land so that, yes, they'll say we have done something new. But Beautiful. It's about making sure that economically wise decisions are taken for the benefit of us as Ghanaians.
Nanadra, I am super grateful. Sadiq would come in, but I like it. So are we saying that the Nana Akufo-Addo administration is going to see to the completion of these abandoned theaters at the University of Ghana and at the National Film and Television Institute? Are we saying we are going to see to their completion?
We have kept faith with our promises. We have kept faith with our promises, and we have done even more. So what I'm saying, and I'll say it again, is that the government will holistically consider all these challenges, and they will be determined by other factors. There are so many factors that determine the implementation of a project, and these will all be considered. The feasibility studies will be done, and the right redress will be taken. But as I said, this government has shown over and over again that the creative arts is dear to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. 1, 2, that the government is a listening government, and as such, when our concerns are made known to the government,
they will be heeded too. Nanadra, I am excited. I tell you what, I'm gonna join the week. Let's connect so that I can take you to University of Ghana and NAFTI so you can see them for yourselves. Yes. I think it will be good. Yes, I'll give you a call so we can start that. So that at least I'm hoping that between now and February we'll get these theaters completed. But Sadiq has a question or two for you. Yes, between now and February we should get them completed.
So, to be fair, we are in COVID times. You get it. The economy, we inherited a very sunken economy, but yes, we were able to revive it. But COVID has hit the world over. So giving us the timeline of February is a bit unfair. But as I said, it will be holistically considered.
Fortunately, the Masons are still working. Though COVID, the Masons are still working. We can still work.
I didn't hear you.
I said the Masons are still working. Though there's COVID, we can still work.
But the Masons need money.
Please, Sadiq has a question for you. Yeah.
All right.
Hello, Nanadra.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Sadiq, go ahead.
Hello, Nanadra.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello,
all right.
Sadiq.
So, industry has seen and experienced the likes of Spotify, Apple Music, Boomplay, YouTube, Netflix, and some of these photo stack sites. And some of these creators are already doing brisk business with these platforms. Now, when you promise to build a digital platform for us, do you intend to build such platforms? And then, as members of the Manifesto Committee that made a promise, do you have an idea how these platforms work with creative professionals? What's your understanding of it enough to make a promise to the sector?
Sadiq, Ibiazan?
No, it's a question.
So, thanks, Sadiq. So, you would have to break down your question. So let's say if I don't answer something, you just draw my attention, and then I would answer that. So firstly, with regards to, yes, the existence of Spotify, Boomplay, the government is aware of this, and that is why there is always the mantra. The president always says that private sector is very important to the development of a nation, and time again, the president has demonstrated this. So private sector will be very much involved in the creation of these digital platforms. When we talk about digital platforms, what we as creative artists in our own sector too, we are unfair to other creative artists. in the sense that we only focus on the music aspect. But besides music, there's the visuals, there's the artifacts, there are other things that make my own folklore. They are all things that make up the creative art space. And these are all things that the digital platforms will encompass. So it can't only be limited to Spotify, Boomplay, but it will satisfy the needs of all of us as creative artists, not just the artists, that's not the musicians.
Nanajwa, do you as members of the Manifesto Committee understand all these platforms you mentioned exist already? Do you understand how these platforms work enough to make a promise on it? What's going to be the level of government involvement in these private ones? Do you understand? For instance, as a member of it, do you understand how YouTube works for visuals? Do you understand how YouTube works with creatives, for instance?
So kindly let me correct this. I'm not a member of the Manifesto Committee. So let me correct that. Then what it is that, yes, I understand the how things work. I understand how YouTube works, how Spotify works. And there are a few individuals, musicians, who have also taken me through how they work. And even with the login systems where you can even monitor how your music is played on the on radios and the likes. But I am not an expert. Experts are always consulted for the sector-specific promises. And this is what gives birth to the manifesto promises. So it is not just somebody sitting somewhere deciding what should be the promise for the creative artist.
So Nanaja, what if I get you right?
Experts are consulted.
So Nanaja, if I get you from the last line, just want to be specific. Yes. Are you promising a digital platform for login, or you're promising a platform that would allow artists to upload their music, or upload their visuals, upload their artifacts to make money? There are two different things. Which one are you promising? Which one are you promising?
The digital so that's what I'm saying. That the digital platform is all encompassing. So it spans beyond just the login system. That is what I'm saying. So the digital platform is all encompassing in the sense that it's given an avenue for all of us as creative artists, not only specific to musicians. So there will be different technical assessments that will be made in order to arrive at the specifics, but it will encompass all of us. So it's not just the musicians, that it's not only the Spotify type, but the technical details will also come out in due course.
Noted. So my last question is that, the Creative Arts Bill has been promised. Have you seen the drafts? Do you have an idea what exactly it's in there? What need or solution does it proffer for industry?
So the Creative Arts Bill now it's been approved by Parliament, and it's been approved by Cabinet, and now it's moving on to the next stage to be presented to Parliament. And yes, I have seen a copy of the bill. It's a public document. As soon as documents are at Parliament, they become public. So we can all have access to it. And I have taken a look, and I think it's a very, very promising document in the sense that the Creative Arts Fund, particularly with regards to financial support for our industry, will be very, very important to turning around some of our problems, our issues our concerns when it comes to us as creative artists. So it's a promising document, and I think that there are a lot of surprises for us, particularly in round 2, because if the Nana-led government is not given a second term to do more, we'll go back to square one, and that should not be the case.
That is a party aware that
Sadiq, Sadiq, your questions are finished. We're out of time, unfortunately. Nanaja, we're totally out of time. But we'll say thank you.
Talk about one very important thing: the Arts Rights Court. I think it's so important to us as creative artists. The court will start functioning in October, and I think we should all take advantage. We have our small industry problems and our concerns, and this court is a specialized court for us. So we need to take advantage of it. I know sometimes we have internal wranglings between our own associations, and then some associations also, turf wars also between some associations. And the Creative Arts Court, the Arts Rights Court, will certainly help in solving some of these problems. So I'm hoping that we'll take advantage of that too.
Nanajua, thank you very much. Just one tiny one, then you can go away. You mentioned a lot of money that would be available to the creatives and all that. Some $9 million, some $15 million and all that. If it wouldn't be too much to ask, how did we come by all these funds? And I mean, it's from the international community. How did we qualify for these funds?
So this is part of the block of $40 million that the World Bank gave to us. It's a tourism development. It has, the caption is the tourism development. I think plan, tourism development plan, and under it, tourism and creative arts are bedfellows. We drive each other. So under that, 9 million has been identified as being solely for third parties. So that's where we can apply to get a part of the money. And then the 50 million is for skills development, which also will ensure that the industry will get the necessary skills to flourish.
Thank you very much. Do have a nice day. It's been great talking to you. And like I said, I'll get in touch during the week, so we'll take a look at those institutions at NAFTI and Legon. Would that be okay?
All right. Well,
thank you very much, Nanajua.
Thank you, and bye to the panelists too.
We're grateful. Bye. Do take care. And that was Nana Ajua Adobia. Asante, she's acting director for the National Folklore Board, giving us a lot of education and information there. Thank you very much. You're still locked on Showbiz A to Z. The station is Joy FM, and we're going to be delving into the VGMAs after these block of commercials. Stay on.
After the 8 p.m. news on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, with a full episode repeated every Sunday on the Worship Zone from 1:30 p.m. Don't miss out. Monday to Friday, from Maureen to Frida. I don't get time for
If we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change.
Winning strategies, nuggets of wisdom, unforgettable stories, all in one inspirational hour. Springboard your virtual university with Albert and Comfort Ocran and guests.
Planning is bringing the future into the present.
A job is for the salaries, mundane, survival-oriented, and there's no passion. But a career has fulfillment, innovation, drive. A growth path is clear, and you can build step by step all the way to the top.
Matriculate at 7 p.m. and graduate at 8 p.m. every Sunday on Joy 99.7 FM and live on Facebook. Springboard is brought to you by Legacy and Joy 99.7 FM and proudly sponsored by MTN, Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, and Axis Pension Trust. support from the graphic business.
This is the open house party.
Oh, hey, that's it. Hey, yo, why that it? Most of them make so much sound in the boat. My tackle. Hey, yo, good at it. Good at it. I will pen and jepayo. Seven jump. Me here for wood to an hour. Hairdresser for the shoemaker for to win your man. Can wear one juma and put a head. Hey, yo, why that tell your mom?
This is the open house party.
DJ Black, he's gonna rock you. He's gonna open house party. Open house party.
This is the open house party.
We got only Choco Plastic DJ on this air. We don't feel you, man. Bring it back. We the only Choco Plastic DJ on this air, man. We don't feel you, but we do more.
Live every Saturday between 8 p.m. and 12 a.m.
Yeah, man.
On your Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7 FM.
I'm feeling this show.
Hello there. Hop in. Let's go on a ride to the countryside. Prepare for smoothness through Countryland. Every Sunday between 10 a.m. and midday. Tune in to Joy 99.7 FM for your favorite country music. Lock it in on your calendar. It's Countryland on Joy 99.7 FM. Simply call me Iggy.
Countryland on Joy 99.7 FM.
Accidents do happen. It could be a motor accident, a sudden heart attack, or even a stroke, or any other health emergency. The first steps you take are very critical. Should you be involved in or witness an accident, call 112 for the fastest ambulance response. With over 300 well-equipped ambulances all over Ghana, you are assured of the fastest response to your emergency call. Call 112 during critical health emergencies and save your life and that of your family and loved ones. 112, help will come. 112, we are safe. Avoid prank calls as they can lead to loss of life of persons in actual need of help. Be a responsible citizen.
ShopRite's more low price birthday is now on, and we are giving you more savings so you can fill your trolley with everything you need, all at our low prices. Like 1.5 liters bottle of Benna still water, only 1 Ghana cedi, 49 pence worth, and a 1 liter bottle of Johnny Walker Red Label whiskey, just 94 Ghana cedis, 99 pence worth. Don't miss our more low price birthday, valid till 6th September, only at ShopRite. Lower prices you can trust always.
Alcohol not for sale to persons under the age of 18. T's and C's apply.
Success in every endeavor requires critical partnership. When it comes to consumer home electronics, quality from Syndicated Capital is your trusted partner. Not just any TV, but the quality satellite and digital LED TV provides inbuilt satellite and digital decoders with a voltage protection, free wall mount, and now a state-of-the-art surround sound bar to deliver an unparalleled entertainment experience. Not just any decoder, quality digital and satellite combo decoders come with auto scan, voltage protector, NCA approval, multi-TV certification, unlimited internet content, and 24/7 movies online. Quality products are available on hire purchase to private and government workers, police and army personnel for as low as 27 Ghana cedis per month. Call us on 0302-242-532 or 0204-413-484 or visit Syndicated Capital at number 28 Farrar Avenue, Adabraka, Accra. Quality. We deliver on our promise.
If we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change.
Winning strategies, nuggets of wisdom, unforgettable stories, all in one inspirational hour. Springboard your virtual university with Albert and Comfort Okran and guests.
Planning is bringing the future into the present.
A job is for the salaries, mundane is survival oriented, and there's no passion. But a career has fulfillment, innovation, drive. A growth path is clear, and you can build step by step all the way to the top.
Matriculate at 7 p.m. and graduate at 8 p.m. every Sunday on Joy 99.7 FM and live on Facebook. Springboard is brought to you by Legacy and Legacy and Joy 99.7 FM and proudly sponsored by MTN, Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, and Axis Pension Trust with support from the graphic business.
spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. Every day, thousands of men, women, and children all over Ghana need blood transfusion to live again. If there is no blood at the blood bank, sometimes there is little that the health workers can do. Safe blood saves life. So I encourage you to give blood on a regular basis and make the world a healthier place to live.
Contact the National Blood Service on 0277 501 010 for further inquiries. Safe blood saves lives.
Until the lions have their own history, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. I am Nana Ansakwa the Fourth. Every Monday at 7 p.m., that's Mondays at 7 p.m., I bring you a show I call That's My Opinion on Joy 99.7 FM. It's thought-provoking, it's entertaining, it's informative, and above all, it's about us. On That's My Opinion, the rules are simple. You may agree with me or disagree, but we do it agreeably. Mondays at 7 p.m. will not be the same again because
it's Showbiz A to Z.